Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Friday, September the 8th, 2023. Welcome to another eBay video. Today we're going to be discussing cancellations, why they're on the increase, and the possible ramifications whether you cancel a transaction or not. When we get to that part of the video, we're going to go inside because I have to prepare some screenshots because I want you to see this for yourself. It is wild. As you can see, it's cloudy and nasty. I want you to see our forecast. Look, look, not a sunny day to be had for the next 2 weeks. Just clouds and rain and constant thunderstorms. It's one thing to have a lot of rain and clouds, but these thunderstorms, man, they just will not abate. It's been a very cloudy, rainy summer, and I'm very glad it's in the history books. That being said, we're now going to segue to the eBay topics of the day. I would also like to state that this week has been unusually tumultuous with sales, meaning one day is pretty good, people are buying, and the next day, crickets. Yesterday was Thursday, and it was one of my slowest days in as long as I can remember. I think I made 2 sales, and the sales were both very cheap items, approximately $30, $35 each, somewhere like that. Very, very cheap items. I've been noticing my cheap items are actually selling fairly well, whereas my most expensive items are not selling well at all. I'd like to say that I'm attributing the slowdown to the end of summer slowdown. And hey, if that's the case, hopefully sales will start rocking again. I am still being inundated with people who are sending me best offers of 25% of my asking price. And when I decline the offer, you don't hear a thing from them. They think that they're going to get a $100 item for $25, and it's just not going to happen, at least not in my world, okay? As far as the cancellations are concerned, before we get to the screenshots, there are some things I can discuss on camera. I had a person the other day who wanted to become what we're going to call a pen pal. One of those people that just messages you one question after the other. Instead of asking all their concerns right away, it's just one after the other. For instance, what size is it? Will it fit my car? Does it match the kind I have? Suppose I buy the item and it doesn't fit. I don't mind 1 or 2 legit questions, but when it gets to be that, what I usually do is I either I respond back and I say something like, I've been on eBay for 24 years, and you have the distinction of asking more individual questions than any other eBayer I've ever come in contact with. I honestly don't know why people just don't ask all their questions ahead of time. Another avenue I use when I encounter one of these people that's lonely and wants to establish a relationship is after about 3 or 4 questions, I just ghost them. I just disappear. So last week, I encountered one of these people. I answered their first 3 or 4 questions in a positive manner, meaning everything they asked me, I assured them it was the right size, it would fit. They even sent me a picture of what they wanted. I said it would match. They wouldn't take my word for an answer. After a while, I just ghosted them. And, you know, my gut told me I should have blocked them, and I didn't. And that's on me, okay? A day or 2 go by, and the person purchases the item. Okay, I have no problem with that. So let's say they bought the item at, let's say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I printed the label at about 4 o'clock. The item is boxed up, packed, label printed, and it's in my car to go out the following day. At around 9 o'clock at night, the same person who's been messaging me all these questions comes back and says, I'm going to need to change my address. I no longer live in Pennsylvania. I live in Maryland now. My address is 123 Main Street. Not happening. Not happening. This is not the eBay of 1999 where you could do stuff like that. I urge you people not to engage in that behavior. If that happens, do exactly what I did. Immediately cancel the sale on your end and select problem with buyer's address. Okay? Give the buyer his money back. Relist the item. Now, this is up to you what you want to do next. You could either message him and say, go ahead and buy the item, but this time do what you're supposed to do. Do due diligence and enter your correct address. Now you could go that route, or you could just block the guy, depending on how you feel. What do you think cute Joey did? One thing that happened to me again, and I find it really amazing in this day and age, is that periodically I will get eBayers that will contact me through the eBay contact system and say something like, Joe, I see you have a set of 1970 Buick hubcaps for sale for $50. I have the exact same set. Would you like to buy mine? What's wrong with people? How lazy can you be? Anyone that says something like that to me, I consider a sloth. A lazy, freaking, no good sloth. Here's where you got to start using this. Think about it. Most of the time the person lives out west. Do you know how much it would cost to ship those items in a 17 by 17 by 8-inch box out to me? Plus the cost of the items. There'd be no profit. I would lose money. All right? Even so, let's say the person was on the East Coast. Let's go with that. Why don't they just list the item like I'm doing and try and sell it that way? I have the answer. Because they're a lazy, lazy sloth. Pick up a rock and see what's underneath, and you'll see people like that. I don't understand how they could be so freaking lazy. My returns this week have skyrocketed. Skyrocketed lunar trajectory. I miss the weeks when I would get 3 returns per week. I wish those days would come back. I would welcome them back. I had a lot of returns this week. As of this, right now, as of this video, how many open returns do you think I have? The answer is not 1, not 2, not 3. 4 open returns right now, and every one is for a cheap item, under $30. But thankfully, every single one, the buyer states that it doesn't fit their vehicle. I'm very tempted when I go inside to do the other screenshot. I will. Remind me if I have time. I'm going to do a very quick cutaway of, I want you to see this, of a return I have where the buyer says it doesn't fit his vehicle, where you can clearly see not only do I have the part number, not only do I use the eBay drop-down interchange field, I also have a picture of the one and only alloy wheel in the world that this cap will fit, and the moron still bought the wrong cap. Anyway, I think it's time we go inside and we do some screenshots, and I can bring you up to speed on a few more interesting eBay facts. Guys, right now I want to briefly talk about my current open returns. I'm going to start with this one on top. the factory 2002, 2003 Ford Explorer center cap. It was only $18. And the cheapest items are the ones that always cause the most problems. But what I want to do is I want to show you the item itself. Here is the item, all right? Now, that's my lead-in picture. That is eBay's default guaranteed fitment picture. Look at this one right here. This is a picture of the alloy wheel the cap fits. It doesn't fit any other alloy wheel. And if you scroll down, okay, look right here. This cap will only fit the alloy wheel described herein. And right here I say 16-inch double spoke alloy wheel as seen in picture number 4. Guys, why? Why are people this dense? Especially on cheaper items. Here is the picture of the alloy freaking wheel. It's the only wheel this cap will fit. But he bought the wrong size, doesn't fit. If you take a look at the rest of them, everything is a cheap item. This one here is $18, $35 here, $33.75 here. And the hits just keep coming. Let's get back to the next topic, which I want to talk about cancellations. Now guys, I want to talk about cancellations because this problem has definitely been escalating. This weekend that just passed, I had 3 cancellations, or should I say in the vernacular, attempted cancellations. The first cancellation came in about maybe 2 minutes after the person purchased the item. They purchased some alloy wheel center caps, and I hadn't printed the shipping label yet, but I had already boxed up the items and I'm getting them ready to go, and here comes the cancellation request. And the reason he chose was purchased by mistake. So before I did anything, I went to his recent feedback to see what he bought, and he had just purchased an alloy wheel for the exact same vehicle. So I know he didn't purchase these by mistake because obviously he's got the car. I'm almost certain eBay showed him the same item cheaper from another seller, and he wanted to go with that seller instead. Now, for those of you who are really observant, in the screenshots I showed you a few minutes ago about the buyer returning that Ford Explorer center cap, I didn't point it out at the time, but as I was scrolling past my listing, right in the body was the exact same items from many other sellers that eBay is hyping. And I'm sure you probably saw that. And this is something we all need to be concerned with. But nonetheless, as long as the person who asked for the cancellation asks for it right away, and I haven't printed the label yet, as I hadn't, I agree to the cancellation. Now let me tell you about another one. A guy purchased an item from me Sunday afternoon, approximately 3 p.m. I boxed the item an hour later, and I put it in my car. Monday morning, I brought all my shipping to the UPS store. So as you know, not only is the tracking uploaded, but it's scanned in already. Later in the day, I'd say about maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a message from the buyer, and I'm reading off my phone right now. Here is what he said. Is it still possible to cancel this order? And this is not a buyer with 0 feedback. This guy had almost 1,000 feedbacks. I don't know what planet this guy's living on. I don't know if he didn't check the tracking or if he's just really that far removed from how eBay works. But I wrote back to him, and this is exactly what I wrote. Absolutely not. The item has been shipped already. And it's a large item in a 17 by 17 by 8-inch box. And if he wants to return it, he's going to be spending some serious coin. Hey, if he wants to return it, that's on him. As long as he pays the return shipping and the original shipping, that's fine, okay? This business with cancellations has never been this bad in my 24 years on eBay. Now, here comes the main feature of the video. I shop on eBay as well, and I like to buy things. And I happen to be looking at somebody who I've purchased from in the past, and I saw he got another negative feedback. I'm going to share that feedback with you right now because it involves the topic we're talking about now, which is cancellations. So let me load that, and I'll read it to you. Look at the screen. I tried to cancel my order right after I placed it, and the seller ignored my request and proceeded to print the shipping label to make it look like it shipped, and I could no longer cancel my order. The seller did not physically ship the item until 5 days after my order and cancel requests were made. This seller does not accept returns, so they printed the label with the intent of not allowing my cancel request to go through. Let's talk about this. Okay, what do you guys think about this kind of thing? I personally feel this is feedback abuse, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, the buyer, when he made this purchase, agreed to a binding contract with the seller to make the purchase, and even the buyer admits that he knew the seller did not accept returns in this case, but he went ahead and bought the thing anyway. Then what I'm almost certain happened is eBay showed him the same item cheaper. You can see he spent $39 for it. So eBay probably showed him one for $25, and he wanted to double dip and play dirty pool, and the seller wouldn't play. Now, the only thing I might want to find fault with the seller is if this is true here, that the seller waited 5 days to ship the item. To be honest with you, I don't think there's any reason for any seller to be waiting 5 days. That's just plain wrong. However, I have to take this comment with a grain of salt, seeing how this buyer is acting anyway. The buyer could always still file for a return, saying not as described, even though it's exactly as described. But I would like to get some feedback from you guys on this comment right here. You'll also notice I went out of my way to hide the seller, the item number, and all those other good things so nobody can track him down and see who he is. Because I am a friend of the seller. Except when the seller is scamming people. That's another story altogether. But this kind of thing here, I really don't think this buyer has any right to neg this seller because the seller would not accept the cancellation requests. I openly vex this buyer's behavior and this buyer's actions. I don't think it helps the eBay platform whatsoever. Before I let you go, I want to give you an update on something I talked about at the beginning of the video when I was on my deck. You remember I told you this story about a guy who made a purchase, and sometime after he made the purchase, I think 6 hours later, he contacted me and wanted me to change the shipping address. I said, no way. I canceled the sale and gave him a refund. And I said, what do you think I did? Well, what I did was I blocked him because the guy's a loose screw. He doesn't have a current address on file with eBay, which is a violation. And number two, I don't like the fact he waited 6 hours after the tracking number was uploaded. So I blocked him. What do you think happened today? I get a ka-ching on my phone, the same item sold. I look at it, it's the same guy who opened a fake account just to get this item from me. 100% sure it's the same guy. Now, given what I just told you, would you just box the item up and send it to him and hope everything works out? Or would you cancel the transaction because he violated eBay rules once again by creating a fake account to circumvent my eBay block? What would you do? I think I'll tell you right now what I did, because by the next video I'll probably forget this topic anyway. But what I did was I went ahead and sent it to him anyway. I don't think he'll give me any trouble, but if he does, I've got him on so many violations, I'm not worried about it at all. I would like to remind you good people that I'm Crazy New York Driver and you're not. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you make a lot of eBay sales. Rock on and peace.